traditions are really good. They're wonderful and the kids love them. But to me, one of the challenges with traditions is that suddenly if your family dynamics change, now you feel like someone robs something from you because now you can't do the tradition, and so it's this sort of tension of having traditions and enjoying them, but also holding them loosely because there are going to be those times when you can't do that tradition. No time is more difficult in family dynamics than during the holidays. Thanksgiving or Christmas, gathering the whole family together can be complicated. And so today, Kayleigh and I are happy to talk about family dynamics during the holidays, in particular Christmas, like when we bring everyone together, there's so much joy and excitement, but also this is where some of the challenges can come, right? In relationships and all that. So thank you for joining us. Remember that when you join us on these podcasts, you make it possible for others to see this material as well. Every time you watch a video, the algorithm knows, hey, someone's watching, let me share it with others. So thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to the podcast. And also we want to invite you to like, subscribe, comment, put that bell on, anything you can do to let the algorithm know that you are engaged with this material. Again, it's good for you because you find out that the content comes out earlier than anyone else. You get to see it immediately when we drop an episode, but also the algorithm shows this content to others and it will encourage others as well. So thank you for partnering with us there, and thank you for listening. Okay. Christmas.
I'm so excited to talk about this too. I just have had a month of excitement because I know that everybody, anywhere, can utilize this conversation.
Yeah.
We are going to discuss it a bit from the lens of blended families who I think have to figure out how to do Christmas or any holiday in conjunction with other family members. But the reality is eventually your kids get married if you have kids, and then you have in-laws. And
yes.
You now have to figure out new traditions and how to manage and when to do different things. And does everyone come or do you do your own thing? It's a lot.
Yeah. Yes. In fact, we've learned that pretty much you become a blended family the minute one of your kids gets married.
Right.
And now you have in-laws, so you have different traditions being brought in, and your whole little nuclear thing that you had with your kids for a long time gets, changed.
Blown away.
Period.
Yeah.
Blown away. And the bigger the family, the more complicated it gets. And we know we've learned this.
Yeah.
So, before we start with that, I just want to kind of go back to our roots, right? A little bit of kind of what we bring, because I think one of the things we have to be aware of is that when we come into a holiday like this, everyone has a tradition or something they've experienced. And it is wise to take time and think, what were my traditions? How did I grow up thinking about this holiday? What was important to me? What is it that I didn't like, et cetera? And so I'll start. Mm-hmm. So as you know, I grew up in Puerto Rico, and our Roman Catholic background meant that we celebrated the Day of the Kings on January 6th. So we did not have gifts during Christmas. We did not have Santa Claus or any of that. We were going to church. We were celebrating Christmas and the birth of Jesus. My mom would have a huge party on huge for us, on Christmas Eve. And then on Christmas Day, we went to church. That's what we did. And it wasn't until January that, quote, we got gifts. And that was, what we had to do is the kids were sent out to go and pick out this grass that had a little yellow flower. That's all I remember. I don't know what it was. And we'd collect it because supposedly the camels like to eat this grass.
Interesting.
And we would put a pile of the grass, and then we'd put water, and that was for the camels. And we would put some cookies for the kings that would come to bring us gifts. And then the next morning, just like that, kind of like the Santa. Very much like the Santa. And we would wake up the next morning, and the grass was gone, and the water was drank and splashed everywhere because those camels were messy, and the cookies were gone, and there were our gifts. And our gifts were very practical things: socks, pajamas, underwear, paper and pencils. One time I was surprised, and there was an acoustic guitar under the tree for me, and I'm sure it was used. I'm sure someone said, like, hey, give this to your kid, and totally out of tune and all that. But I was so happy. The first time we got a gift that was not something that we were going to wear or something for school. But that was the context I grew up in. And then when we moved to California, and I got married to your dad. He was from Iowa. And so his tradition, totally different. Santa Claus and, having a gift at night. They had a gift that was unwrapped. It was the gift unwrap was for Christmas morning. And then...
And you got to open one on Christmas Eve.
You got to open one on Christmas Eve. I mean, it was a tradition that was so different than mine. So
and
you could remember that better.
And they did like gift exchange. Was like they were really the ones that I learned about gift exchange.
Yes.
Instead of having like you buy a gift for every person.
That's right.
They had everybody buy a gift for one person within the family. I remember that too. But to be honest, Dad had all these traditions growing up and you had traditions growing up. But I think because of the reality of two very different traditions, all I remember is Santa being a part of my life, and then that was pretty much it. And I remember opening one Christmas present on Christmas Eve. In fact, this is so silly, but like when you guys got divorced, it was exciting because I got to open all my presents on Christmas Eve and then all my presents on Christmas Day. So it was like, I got to open a lot of presents and that felt really exciting. But I think that, that was all I remember is like the Christmas Eve, Christmas Day.
Yeah, the Kings were out the window the minute we moved to California. We were like, I didn't wait because I wanted to put down the tree by the end of, I was like, that tree was burning.
It's time to go.
January 6th came. So I was glad to let go of that one.
Also the tradition of like when to put up the Christmas tree. I don't remember like when we did it as a kid, but the moment I had my own Christmas tree and I had kids, it was like the day after Thanksgiving, like the weekend after Thanksgiving, everyone's home. It's a good time to put it up. And then I married someone who is a November 1st Christmas tree person. Luckily, our Christmas tree is fake, so it will survive. And as long as we leave it up, it will be there. November 1st.
Was that like a family tradition?
No, Anthony just really loves Christmas. Yeah, it's like he doesn't care about Thanksgiving. Like we do it, we host it, but he doesn't want to have to think about it. He doesn't want to decorate for it. He wants it Christmas. He's get through Halloween and then we can be Christmas,
And that's the thing. Holidays are like so emotional. There's a lot of tradition, a lot of desires, and so many different ways to do this. So when you have a blended family, man, does it get complicated.
And I will say that I think that those traditions are so important, like again, it's funny because I married someone who's tradition heavy. His family did a lot of traditions and he loves traditions. He creates them very easily. Like it's his favorite thing. But up until it was like, I didn't even think about these things. Like my daughters are so obsessed that Dad now creates all these traditions. Like that
they're happy.
They love it. They're like, it's tradition, this is what we do. And I'm like, okay, got it. In fact, last year on Thanksgiving morning, we went and saw the first Wicked movie when it came out. We took the kids to the theater and it was quiet and it was so amazing. And so we're taking them again this year. And now they've said it's tradition. We go and I was like, well, it'll only last for 2 years because then it's over. But it is fun that for 2 years we get to do this. So I think that it's really interesting getting to now witness actually how important these traditions really are. Like I'm bummed I didn't think about these or really implement them sooner or that I didn't really have as many of them growing up because I see the excitement that comes from knowing they get to follow a tradition and how special that is. So I think even though it's probably harder in a blended, I know it's harder in a blended family, especially when you're talking multiple families, really creating traditions that you feel like are good, that you feel like you can really stand behind no matter what day it is special.
Yeah. And that's one of the things we had to change. I love traditions too, but I'm always trying to change it up just for fun because I like changing things. But at the same time, we do have some traditions. And when we blended as a family, now having kids from every direction and spouses and all that, we've created a few traditions of our own, but we've had to do it in a different day. So our Thanksgiving and our Christmas, I think only once in the 22 years we've been married happened on the day. Everything else has been on a different day. So Thanksgiving usually Saturday, not Thursday. And then Christmas usually the weekend after. I think this year is the first year we're doing it before. We've never done that.
Have you ever felt distant or disconnected on your journey of faith? Disconnected from God, from your church, from people? And you wondered, how can I grow deeper in my relationship with God? I get it. I've been there myself. In fact, this is the reason I wrote my book, Uncharted, Navigating Your Unique Journey of Faith. In it, I tell my story, and I also share stories of people in the Bible who struggled on their journey of faith. You're not alone. So I hope you will check this book out. Also, I prepared an 8-week study guide that allows you to not only do it on your own, study the book and the material, but you can also gather a group of people together, maybe your small group, and have a good discussion about the journey of faith. I think you'll find it a great blessing. And for those of you who want to go even deeper, we have an online course at trochia.org where you can see a set of videos. You can download a PDF version of the study guide and go even deeper on your journey of faith. I believe these resources will encourage you on your journey of faith and help you have a thriving faith that is fruitful and a blessing to yourself and to others.
And so it moves around. And we're pretty flexible with that. So one of our traditions is that it doesn't happen on the day.
Yeah.
That our family gathering is a different day.
Well, and I will say now, like it was when you and it's interesting, like it's when you and Jim got married and now we had this blended family that traditions started coming around, right? So we do that with you guys where you always host this party. And by the way, the party is also kind of a tradition in and of itself.
Yes.
In order to support the multiple family members and all the in-laws and all those types of things, what you guys have done is we get together at like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon on the day of that celebration and we open gifts.
Kids and grandchildren. And
Only. Yeah. It's like only the immediate family, not even I don't even think extended family, don't do aunts or anything like that. It's just us. And then around 5:30, you guys host a party in which then all the extended family and even friends come. And it's more of like a full Christmas. And I think we've had up to like 100 people at these parties.
Usually it's
crazy.
Over 50.
Yeah.
Always over 50. And then there we do the Christmas story. So I wrote a Christmas story from Genesis through Revelation. So obviously taking a lot of the Christmas story in a New Testament, but I added the Isaiah passages, and then all the way through Revelation. And then every person gets one portion of the Christmas story in an envelope, and they have to read it and act it out. And so we have a lot of fun, so that it takes a while for the entire story to be read. And then inside the envelope, we've put treasures. We used to have a treasure box. Remember, you would read a portion and go get something from the treasure box, but the parties are getting too big, so it's hard to have
a really long time.
How big of a treasure box are we going to have? And a lot of wrapping.
Yeah.
So now we just put a treasure in the envelope. And then after everyone reads it, they open the envelope and, some people get money, some people get a In-N-Out card, there's different things.
Yeah.
So, which is really fun. And it's become a tradition for us.
Yeah.
So,
well, and it didn't start, we have done the Christmas story for 15 years, I think. It's been a long time. Yeah. But it didn't start with us doing everybody reads their own. It started with you had one person read the entire story and you just had them read the Luke story.
Yes.
And then you added to it and you made it really fun. And I think what's really cool is actually watching like the kids get old enough to read it for themselves. Yes. Like my daughter for the first time last year got to read it. And then she picked up every extra envelope because she just wanted to read more of them. So anytime we had extra, she's like, I'll do it. Because she loved getting to read it. And that was the first year she really could read these things for herself. So it's
in front of all these people.
In front of all these people, she was having the best time. So like, I think that tradition has really morphed into something that's so special and fun that is truly known at the Franklin house. This is what happens for Christmas.
Yeah, that's true. And so it's so popular that a few years back, someone said, hey, this was so much fun. Can I have a copy of the Christmas story? And because I have it in Word and I have it broken up for different things. So last year, was it last year or the year before? We actually designed a really nice PDF so that people, if they want to do this themselves, they just cut the little things, put it on the outside on the envelope. It has instructions. So if you want this, we will put on the show notes a website that you can go to and go ahead and download that PDF so that you can do this with your own family. And it instructs you how to do it and everything. So it's become that popular. People are always like, can I have a copy of a Christmas story? And again, I didn't make anything up. I just added more than just the story in the New Testament. So that's one thing we learned. And again, traditions are really good. They're wonderful and the kids love them. But to me, one of the challenges with traditions is that suddenly if your family dynamics change, now you feel like someone robbed something from you because now you can't do the tradition, and so it's this sort of tension of having traditions and enjoying them, but also holding them loosely, because there are going to be those times when you can't do that tradition for all kinds of reasons. My goodness, when we went through COVID, we were all outside. Remember, we met in a big circle outside because of the social distancing and all that.
And it was just immediate family, and we had
it was so different
years with just us.
Yeah, it was very different. And so we have to maintain some sort of flexibility when you're dealing with family dynamics. Because life changes on us.
Yeah. So we have come up with some traditions in our home that are super fun. The Christmas tree on November 1st, although we just moved this year and we did not have furniture in the formal living room, which is where the Christmas tree went. So I begged multiple times, just wait until we get the couch in the formal living room. And then I promise you. So the couch moved into the formal living room on Saturday. And on Saturday, the tree went up and was decorated. And we also...
But the girls love it.
Oh, they were so happy. We also have a tradition that every time we can, my husband and I's favorite movie is Up. So every time we can, we find Up ornaments or Up related ornaments. So like hot air balloons or things like that. And we'll buy them. And then I put them up. That's like the thing. So we let the kids put up all the ornaments and help us decorate it and do all the pieces. And then at the very end, I get to put up our Up ornaments. And it's like kind of a little special sweet thing. So like those are like the ways we really make the tree a part of the tradition. We also like really enjoy all Christmas morning doing opening. We don't open anything early. I had to break the tradition last year because my husband's gift came early and I couldn't wrap it. So I was like, you just have to see what you got. So I made him go hide downstairs while they brought it inside. And then I was like, ta! But usually it's like we only open on Christmas morning. And I actually had a tradition that I don't do the like toys for my kids. I don't do a ton of presents for my kids. I will maybe get them like one thing, but they get so many presents on Christmas from family, from you guys. Oh my gosh, you guys spoil our kids so well, all of our kids. And so like, it just is something where I'm like, nope, you don't need it at home. So we like buy them one very small thing. And then that's kind of like one of the things that they know. Like they know they're not going to get a ton of presents at home, but it's going to be fine because you're going to get them everywhere else. It's truly. We also have last year, let's just talk about traditions gone terribly wrong. Because there are all those traditions we try to implement and then we decide, never mind. So last year, my husband wanted to implement a tradition that he grew up with. His mom used to make, or still does, I believe, make a birthday cake for Jesus on Christmas morning. And they would eat cake for breakfast. Which, if you know my mother-in-law, that is so unusual. That woman would never eat sugar for breakfast. So like, this is truly like a special Christmas Day tradition. And so last year, my husband's like, let's do that. Let's do birthday cake for Jesus, especially because we don't do Santa. So like, it was like their way of having something to look forward to and celebrate on Christmas morning. I have never regretted a tradition decision more in my entire life. My kids were so rough the whole day, just meltdown after meltdown after meltdown. Like they never regulated again. They just were gone for the rest of the day. And we looked at ourselves that night and we said, we're not doing this again. So just this weekend, my husband's like talking through stuff for Christmas and he goes, we decided against the birthday cake tradition, right? And I was like, yeah. He goes, all I remember is being really mad at ourselves. And I was like, yeah, no, we're not going to do that one again. That was disastrous. He's like, okay, got it. Yep. Check.
I love that. One of the things we changed for both Thanksgiving and Christmas was because our celebrations are after the fact, we used to do potluck where everyone could bring something. But what was happening is, they had already had multiple dinners at various places. And instead of bringing a fresh dish, they're fried. Everyone's tired. It's like, I don't want to make a whole new dish. They would just bring leftovers. Yeah. So our Christmas or our Thanksgiving would just be this pile of leftovers from different parties. And after a couple of years of that, I was like, no, it doesn't feel like I'm getting my Christmas or my Thanksgiving. And so we scratched that idea. And now we cook and we, for Christmas, we host that completely. For Thanksgiving, we cook the meat. And then, yes, we let people bring some side dishes. And we ask, please Sure, bring your leftovers, but also please bring something fresh and new for everyone, because that was one of the traditions that kind of we ended up not liking. And some people really don't like leftovers, especially after 3 or 4 days, which is usually what would happen is we're 4 days out and you're bringing the leftovers from that party. No, thank you.
Yeah. And we do, I feel like Thanksgiving is a good example of how we do that really well. It's also just family at Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Like that one, we maybe have a close family friend here or there, but it's very limited on the people who join us for Thanksgiving. And so it is easier because we're also, you guys, our family is over 20 people if every single person shows up. And that includes kids and some allergies or dietary restrictions. So it's not as simple as just like bring a dish, you do have to think through a little bit and think through enough. And so I think that we have found a way of doing that really well. And we tend to kind of make the same things too for Thanksgiving. Like we kind of all know, these are the things we're good at. So we'll trust you with that,
Very true. And we've learned a lot. And it's been a journey. We've had seasons of kids screaming at the table, stuff being spilled, people getting all uptight because they're talking about politics. I mean, we've had all of those experiences and pray a lot during those holidays because, there's always a person who comes who causes issues in the family or at the table or whatever. And thankfully, we don't have, the crazy uncle, but, every so often we have stuff.
Hard conversation.
Everybody has stuff.
Yeah.
So, okay. So I thought, we're talking about Christmas. So let's read the story.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Now, I'm not going to read the whole long story, but I thought we'd read Luke chapter 2. Just to remind ourselves, what is this really all about, right? Mm-hmm. Because I love Thanksgiving because it's a holiday of just food, your favorite people, and Thanksgiving, gratitude. Love it. But obviously, Christmas is the most meaningful because we're reminded of our Savior. So, All right. I'm reading from Luke chapter 2, starting in verse 3, just for a few verses. So everyone went to be registered, each to their own town. Joseph also went up from the town of Nazareth in Galilee to Judea, to the city of David, which is called Bethlehem, because he was of the house and family of the line of David, to be registered along with Mary, who was engaged to him and was pregnant. While they were there, the time came for her to give birth. Then she gave birth to her first son, and she wrapped him tightly in cloth and laid him in the manger, because there was no guest room available for them. In the same region, shepherds were staying out in the fields and keeping watch at night over their flock. Then an angel of the Lord stood before them, and the glory of the Lord shone around them, and they were terrified. But the angel said to them, "Don't be afraid, for look, I proclaim to you good news of great joy that will be for all the people. Today in the city of David, a Savior was born for you, who is the Messiah, the Lord. This will be a sign for you. You will find a baby wrapped tightly in cloth and lying in a manger." Suddenly there was a multitude of heavenly hosts with the angel praising God and saying, "Glory to God in the highest heaven, and peace on earth to people he favors." So good.
Yeah.
That's the story. That's what we celebrate. Let us never forget that when we gather during our holidays, right?
Well, and I think that's like part of the bigger conversation, right? Like we can talk about all these really fun traditions and traditions that go terribly wrong. And I think there's so much beauty truly in Christmas for me. It's like my favorite holiday. I love celebrating Christmas for all of these beautiful things. But again, going back to this conversation with blended family, it requires a healthy dose of flexibility because things change, especially as your kids get older, as family dynamics change. If you do get divorced or remarried, trying to figure out how to manage the dynamics that go along with that. And I think if we can all take a minute and remember that it starts and has started and happens and we celebrate because of Jesus and because of the birth of Jesus, then at least we can have the right mindset going into that holiday.
Very true. It always blows my mind that God, who chose to come and be here with us and reveal himself to us, chose to be a baby.
Yeah.
Chose humility, chose a place of vulnerability, chose a posture of dependence. I mean, he couldn't feed himself, right? The creator of heaven and earth, the creator of everything, had to be taken care of. And so when we look at our family dynamics and we're struggling with how we're going to do Christmas, how we're going to do Thanksgiving, to remember that we can be humble, that we can be dependent on God for wisdom, that we can choose to show up in a way that might be even vulnerable, because He did that, and He will guide us through it. And we don't have to, it doesn't have to look a certain way, but it has to be all about Him, and that's going to bring us joy.
Yeah. I love that. So real quickly, let's talk about like how it shifted when you became a blended family, right? It changed when you got divorced, but then it changed again when you and Jim got married, and you had to figure out how to make it work with kids, with other parents. Because I do think that you have done it exceptionally well. I think you and Jim have really found the balance well, to the point that it's not a competition between us and our other parents and you guys to try to figure out how to make it work.
Yeah, one of the things we did, like I said, is we chose a different date, and we talked to you guys about it, all of you, and said, hey, this is probably what's going to work best. And the first time we tried a Thanksgiving, I think it was how we really changed was we tried one Thanksgiving on Thanksgiving Day, and one of our daughters had gone to 3 different Thanksgivings that day, and she says, please don't do that to me ever again. I can't have 3 meals in one day. And that's when we said, you know what, let's not do it on the same day.
Yeah.
So that was change number 1, which was the most important. The second one was, we don't ask what it is like for you at another event, so that we never have to think about, oh, we're going to do this that's different.
Yeah.
We decided, what is it that matters to us for these holidays, for these experiences? And we do them the way that we feel we'd like to do them, and that you guys like, and how we all kind of have feedback. And we never compare to what somebody else is doing. We don't ask, wait, what did you do over there? How does that work out? None of our business. That's your family. And also, this is really important, is remembering that you, for example, have your dad's house to go to. You have your husband's family to go to, that you're having to go to a lot of places. And so how can I put a demand on you when you're sort of stretched in every direction?
Yeah.
Jim and I don't have our parents anymore, right? And so our family, our gathering is you guys. It doesn't mean that, oh, it has to be the most important for you. It just means that I have to be understanding of everyone else you have to go and care for.
Yeah.
So that realization of, the best gift we can give our kids is to be the lower maintenance parent.
Yeah.
Not that anyone else is high maintenance, but we're just not going to be the demanding ones. Because we can easily be demanding. I mean, that's not hard to do. But we decided we're not going to be that. We're going to be the supportive parents during the season. And the interesting thing is, we have been so deeply blessed by our experience, and you guys have enjoyed it. It turned out that we've all enjoyed it even more. Everyone comes relaxed because it's after the fact. We have listened to you when you have put in your, hey, can we do that? Okay, let's switch. Just being flexible.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. Like 2 months before the holidays start,
we're
sending a text saying, here are the potential dates. And then we take everybody's stuff into account. And sometimes we have to work with each other. This year was a good example. Like the dates that worked for one of your nieces, or one of my nieces, one of your grandkids, it was a date that wasn't that great for me and my husband. And so we found, okay, we can do it. We can make it work. It's going to be a little weird on Thanksgiving, but then we do need to ask for a different day on Christmas, because I can't, like, we'd mess up both. And we found a way to make it work, and everyone can attend, and it worked out really well. So there's always flexibility also with us as the adults, and which makes our family super unique. And honestly, what's going to happen to all families as their kids get older, and now they're dealing with grandkids and great grandkids, right? It does get like more spread out like this. It's not just us who have multiple families. Like a lot of the nieces and nephews in our lives, your grandkids, also have multiple parents. We have a lot of my siblings have also been through divorce or are married to people who were divorced previously. So it's like, they're also working out like when they're going to see their mom, and how can we, as the 20-something people that we are, come together as best as possible. So I think that's a big part. And then also sometimes we don't all get together. We have one of my sisters like can't come out every year. Right. And so she does an every other year thing. And sometimes she comes out with her son. Sometimes she comes out with everybody. It just depends on the year and what everybody's capable of doing. So it's like we all kind of figure out what we can do best. My sister lived far away for a long time, and like she only came down for a handful of Christmases or Thanksgivings, and if she came down for one, she couldn't come down for the other. So it's like we did have to. There was a learning process that also just happened because we were a growing family and people moved, and that happens. And so I think we learned early how to have flexibility, but it's something everyone's going to have to learn over time.
Very true. Very true. I think if there's one word for this podcast
Yeah.
is be flexible, be flexible, be flexible.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
change happens. And at the end of the day, you want to be together with family and celebrate, and you don't want to get hung up on the details.
Right.
That takes away all the fun.
Yeah.
We don't
I
want
think
that.
also, just real quickly, one of the things you did really well that I thought was so cool was whenever one of us, my sister 2 years ago, got COVID on Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah. On Christmas. And she was supposed to come down, couldn't come down because of it. And so we FaceTimed her at dinner, and she sat with us, and we just, as
Put the
much
iPad
as
up.
possible, had the iPad sitting up, and we brought her around. She sat for the Christmas story because it's like, she didn't want to be left out any more than we wanted to leave her out. So I think also finding little ways, this is where technology is great, like finding little ways to still include people as best as possible, recognizing that there are limitations that are naturally going to occur. And yeah, like you said, just continuing to remain flexible and remembering why we do this at all, right? Remembering why we celebrate these things at all. We celebrate Thanksgiving as a moment of gratitude, and we celebrate Christmas as Jesus's birth and everything that followed because of that. So
Very true. And you know what I'm blessed by is that everyone in our family does their part. Everyone tries. And so that makes a big difference when everyone's trying their best to show up, and be kind and joyful and pleasant. And that makes a really, really big difference. And I'm really grateful. All of you kids have worked hard at building a blended family that works.
Yeah.
It's not always perfect, but you're always trying. And Jim and I couldn't be more grateful for each of you kids and the way that you guys have leaned in. So thank you.
Well, and I do think that shows, again, we learned it early out of necessity, right? But it's something everyone's going to experience.
Yeah.
And so it has really helped us, I think, because we learned it so young, I was 14 when you guys got married. Melissa was 9. We were still living in your house, and we were immediately thrown into, how do we make all this work? And how do we balance all of this? And so what would have been years from then that you were having to figure out, let's not do it on Thanksgiving, was figured out relatively
pretty
early,
quick.
And so I think we hope truly that you will leave this podcast with tools that help you feel like, okay, that's kind of how I should handle that in the future, that have flexibility, have grace, and have understanding. And I think that's also a big part of it. I have a friend who has multiple years now not gone to be with family on these holidays, gone to be with extended family or a friend or traveled. And it was really hard for her parents for multiple years over to see her choose to do these other things. But it was also her holiday that she was choosing to do these things. And I think having that grace and understanding of hey, these kids are going to experience different things. They're going to become adults. They're going to do it in a different way, and giving them space to do that, and just knowing, there's always a place to come. You're always welcomed is a huge role. So.
Very true.
Well, this has been an awesome conversation. I have absolutely loved it. And I hope that it's helpful in this process of learning what to do through the holidays. And I do hope that you download that PDF, utilize it, use it, do it in a totally different way. Come up with a new way.
Put comments. Put some comments.
Yes.
We like to hear about your traditions, the things that have worked, not worked. We'd love to know more about your own personal journey with this.
Yeah. And as a reminder, please don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell, and comment down below. It helps you stay up to date with everything that's happening, but it also helps us know that the content we're providing is content you want to keep seeing. And since we're a nonprofit, it's like a free way to donate without ever having to open up your wallet. So let's work together on this, and we cannot wait until we see you on the next one. God bless.
Yeah.